Taze Q Jones, your DVD and Blu-ray baller on a budget, and this is HQ Videos for you. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're a current subscriber, what's up? We greatly appreciate it. Come on in, make yourself at home. This week for my collection video, I wanted to focus on something a little different. I wanted to focus on some of the most influential movies of my lifetime, starting from the first movie that really influenced me to the latest. And what I mean by influenced me, either they influenced the way I looked at myself, looked at life, or maybe the way I looked at movies. Some of these movies I consider so good, I put these movies on such a high pedestal that a lot of movies in the same genre, I use these movies as a benchmark to compare how good or bad other movies are. And if you have some movies that influence you, please leave in the comments. But this is my list. So without further ado, sit back, relax, have a drink of a smoke, and I'll catch you on the other end of this video. Back at the Black Cave. Back at the Black Cave. We are back at the motherfucking Black Cave. I'm going to kick it off with my earliest, most influential movie. This is the 1939 adventure family fantasy musical, The Wizard of Oz. This was directed by Victor Fleming, produced by Arthur Freed, written by Noel Langley. This stars the iconic cast of Judy Garland, Frank Morgan, Ray Bolger, Burt Lahr, Jack Haley, Billy Burke, Margaret Hamilton, Clara Blandick, and those are the major players. And if you're not familiar with the Wizard of Oz, story by Frank L. Baum, I read the book as a child, but the plot goes, young Dorothy finds herself in a magical world where she makes friends with a lion, a scarecrow, and a tin man as they make their way along the yellow brick road to talk with the wizard and ask for the things they miss most in their lives. The Wicked Witch of the West is the only thing that could stop them. And this is, I believe, an MGM release. Well, Warner Brothers, I believe, was originally MGM, and this is the Steelbook 3D version. And this is the first movie I can remember as a child coming on TV every year during the holidays. Every holiday, especially around Thanksgiving or Christmas, you want the Charlie Brown specials, Christmas Carol specials, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and of course, The Wizard of Oz. And this is so iconic. The beginning scenes are in this sepia kind of black and white, brownish tint kind of color. Then when they enter the land of Oz, everything is just this amazing technicolor. And for 1939, I can only imagine what that was like being in the theater, especially when you're mostly accustomed to black and white movies, just to have all that color just thrust at you at one time. Great story, great memorable musical performances from Judy Garland to Ray Bolger, the Scarecrow. You even have the lore or the history behind The Wizard of Oz, just like Buddy Epson from Beverly Hills Billies was supposed to be the Tin Man, but he had an allergic reaction to the makeup, so they ended up choosing, I believe, Jack Haley as the Tin Man. And the story of the Munchkins and Judy Garland, how she originally they didn't want her in the role because they thought she was a little bit too old, though, but Great performances, iconic roles, and just one of these movies you can pass down from generation to generation. It'll never get old. It's a timeless classic, and to me, easily top 10, maybe top 5 movies, best movies of all times. So my first influential movie, The Wizard of Oz. My next movie, I was in grade school when this came out. This is the 1977 action adventure fantasy science fiction film, Star Wars: A New Hope. This was directed and written by George Lucas, produced by Gary Kurtz. This stars Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Peter Cushing, Sir Alec Guinness, Anthony Daniels, Kenny Baker, Peter Mayhew, David Prowse. I think that's all the big names. The plot behind this, if you've been under a rock for the past decade or two, the plot behind Star Wars: Princess Leia is captured and held hostage by the evil Imperial force in their effort to take over the Galactic Empire. Venturesome Luke Skywalker and dashing Captain Han Solo team together with a lovable robot duo R2-D2 and C-3PO to rescue the beautiful princess and restore peace and justice in the Empire. And in '77, I remember watching news broadcast about people being in line around the block to see this movie, and I didn't know anything about it really, though. My big science fiction doses are pretty much, I think, Star Trek maybe, and whatever sci-fi movies came on the television. And again, this is before VCRs, before cable. When this came out, this was like nothing I'd ever seen before. No one ever heard of the Force. The special effects were next level. And just the whole galaxy, different planets, lightsabers, Tatooine, the whole bar scene, all these different type of aliens. Totally new experience, great storytelling, and it's set up for a whole franchise of Star Wars movies, which has been taken over by Disney, and people kind of crap on the new Star Wars ones, and I kind of get it though, but this was the foundation of Star Wars, of the franchise, and to a certain extent is kind of the foundation I compare other science fiction movies to, especially the heavy into the futuristic. So this is the foundation, Star Wars. And 20th Century Fox release, of course, Star Wars. Oh, and just like Wizard of Oz, is something that I've handed down to my son. I think the first movie he saw was the second or third set of movies though. So my second influential movie of my lifetime, Star Wars. Next, I'm going to cheat a little bit. This technically isn't a movie, it's a miniseries. This is the 1978 drama history miniseries Roots. This was directed by Marvin J. Chomsky, produced by Stan Margulies, written by Alex Haley. This stars George Stanford Brown, Robert Reed, John Amos, Louis Gossett Jr., Ben Vereen, Olivia Cole, LeVar Burton, Ed Asner, Lloyd Bridges, Leslie Uggams, Chuck Connors, Vic Morrow. And again, if you've been on a rock for the past few decades, the plot behind Roots is a saga of African-American life based on Alex Haley's family history. Kunta Kinte is abducted from Africa, his Africa village, sold into slavery, and taken to America. Throughout the series, the family observes notable events in the U.S. history, such as the Revolutionary and Civil Wars, slave uprisings, and emancipation. And mind you, I'm in grade school when this came out, and this evokes so many different types of emotions from me. One, and this is a Warner Brothers release. One, I couldn't understand, and this is back in the day when you couldn't curse on television. You might be able to say damn and hell. I think that was it. How in the hell did you have all these topless black women on television and it's not being censored? That kind of threw me off a little bit also. And as a kid, you don't watch a lot of drama movies. This is drenched in drama, anguish, just unspeakable amount of crimes against humankind. And the scene that will forever stay with me, but I remember the first time I saw it, LeVar Burton plays Kunta Kinte, the young African stolen from Africa. And in slavery times, they didn't want the Africans to have their African names, so they would give them their names. The slave owner was forced to name Toby on Kunta Kinte, and essentially he whipped him until he broke down and said his new slave name, Toby. I didn't cry, but I wanted to. That was just such a heart-wrenching thing to see, especially as a kid, and you really didn't understand the concept of slavery. At least I didn't. I don't think most people did at that time. That just really painted the picture for me. And it really hits home since I'm a descendant of slaves, and my grandmother was actually raised on a plantation. My mother would tell me stories how she worked from sun up to sundown, not as a slave, but as a sharecropper. And those things just kind of stick with you. And this actually made my son watch it probably about the same age I watched it. And even, again, watching it, I still get a lump in my throat from some of those scenes. So this, without a doubt, one of the most influential movies of my life. And with my son, if he has children, I'll make sure that his children watch this so they understand the history of where they come from. Roots. And yes, Warner Brothers release. My next movie is the 1973 drama horror, The Exorcist. This is directed by William Friedkin, produced by William Peter Blatty, written by William Peter Blatty. This stars Ellen Burstyn, Max von Sydow, Lee J. Cobb, Kitty Wynn, Jack McGowan, Jason Miller, Linda Blair, of course, William O'Malley. The plot behind this: when a charming 12-year-old girl takes on the characteristics and voices of others, doctors say there is nothing they can do. As people begin to die, the girl's mother realizes her daughter has been possessed by the devil, and that her daughter's only possible hope lies with two priests and the ancient rite of demonic exorcism. And this came out in 1972, and this is the anthology, but I'm just going to focus on the first movie. And I didn't watch it when it first came out because I was a child, basically, but I watched it on either 10 or 12. And I think it was closer to 12. And you're at that age where you've seen some horror movies, Frankenstein, Wolfman, a couple B movies. You're 12 years old, you're preteen, you think you're a hot shit. Not too much can scare you. This movie scared the shit out of me as a kid. And for some reason, I don't know, my parents went out that night and I watched it by myself, alone. I could not sleep that night. Only thing I can see when I close my eyes is that little chick's head turning around, and the power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ compels that. That freaked me out. And as far as benchmarking, even to this day, I think I benchmark all horror movies to The Exorcist as far as being scary. Nowadays, people might not think it's scary compared to all the other movies that have come since The Exorcist, but from 72 to 80s, maybe early 80s, this was it. I don't think you got any scarier than this. You got creepy movies like The Omen, maybe some John Carpenter movies though, but this, the special effects, the voices, The acting, the priest, and the priest is scary enough as it is, let alone the possessed little girl, though. But the whole thing, it just really shook me as a kid. And again, I don't think I've ever been this scared since then, since watching The Exorcist. So, most influential movie at that time, The Exorcist, Warner Brothers. My next movie is the 1986 comedy romance, She's Gotta Have It. This was directed and written by Spike Lee, produced by Pam R. Jackson. This stars Tracy Camilla Johns, Tommy Redmond Hicks, John Canada Terrell. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Spike Lee, Ray Dow, Joa Lee, Bill Lee. Those are the major names. The plot behind this is the story of Nora Darling, simultaneously sexual relationships with 3 different men, is told by her and by her partners and other friends. All 3 men wanted her to commit solely to them. Nola resists being owned by a single partner. And this was so influential to me, and I only have the Laserdisc. I don't have the DVD, and I don't think they came out with a Blu-ray of this as of yet. Probably because the majority of the movie is in black and white, with the exception of one small part in the middle that's in color, and I'll talk about that in a second. And this is a Vinegar Company, Island Pictures. Island Pictures, I guess that's the distributor. But this is so influential to me. I was in college when this came out and knew nothing about this, didn't know anything about Spike Lee. The only thing I knew about the actors. And it was funny, and it was the first time, it was funny, great soundtrack, unique camera angles, and it was the first time I saw characters on the big screen that weren't from my parents' generation, like Sidney Poitier, Bill Cosby, Harry Belafonte, and it wasn't Gordon Parks. It was a black director kind of in my age group, and unique storyline, great jazz soundtrack, and the whole thing's in black and white with the exception of maybe a 5-minute clip, which is basically a birthday scene where there's dancing and music and just a really beautiful scene. And after this movie, I stopped looking at movies just as a form of entertainment. I started looking at it as actually a form of art, just like music, everything. I got the soundtrack to this, fantastic soundtrack. And with this movie, in my opinion, with Spike Lee, this paved the way for people like John Singleton, the Hudlin brothers, the Hughes brothers, just a host of new black directors with new perspectives, new characters, and telling it from their point of view as opposed to someone else telling their story. So great movie, and again, just very influential on how I view movies and just how I looked at cinematography as a whole, as not just as entertainment but as an art. She's Gotta Have It. And my last movie is the 2009 action adventure fantasy science fiction film Avatar. This was directed and written by James Cameron, produced by Brooke Britton. This stars Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, Sigourney Weaver, Stephen Lang, Michelle Rodriguez, Giovanna Ribisi, Joel David Moore, CCH Pounder, Wes Studi, Laz Alonso, Dilep Raul. I think that's most of the people that I know. Sean Patrick Murphy. And the plot behind this: in the 22nd century, a paraplegic Marine is dispatched to the moon, Pandora, on a unique mission, but becomes torn between following orders and protecting an alien civilization. And the reason why this one was so influential to me, after you watch so many movies, everything kind of starts to blend together unless it's something that's very unique, either the storytelling, how it's shot, or just something to break out the monotony of superheroes, action drama. This was that breakout movie for me. not just so much of the subject matter, but because of the format, 3D. And I remember this specifically because, and I mentioned this story before if you're familiar with the channel, my son was born the same year. This is the first movie that we actually got to see after him being born by ourselves. So we actually had, I think my mom watch him, and wasn't really expecting that much 3D. Thought it would be kind of gimmicky, similar to the 3D glasses I got as a kid watching The Creature from the Black Lagoon. They had the red and blue old school glasses, and they showed on TV, and it looked kind of cool though. So I was expecting that. Never expecting the depth, the pop outs, how real it looked. I mean, to the point where people are grabbing at stuff because they didn't realize how good the 3D was. And for me, that just sparked a whole new love of movies, specifically those in 3D. It just, again, was a new way of bringing you closer in. I mean, first it was like Hi-Fi, then THX, DVD, Blu-ray, now 3D, a new medium to really just kind of bring you closer into the movie. So it's not just watching, you actually feel like you're part of the movie. So my latest, most influential movie, and this is 20th Century Fox, I believe, Avatar. And these are the most influential movies of my lifetime. If you made it this far in the video, smash a like. Give me the big thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, go and subscribe. If you have a very influential movie in your life, leave it in the comments. Tell me why. Other than that, may the best of your past be the worst of your future. Everyone, please be safe. Deuces.